I am back, and I've had a lot of fun with this new dungeon so far. Let me preface this by saying that the recommended level is exactly that, a recommendation. I skipped last season, so when this dropped, I was a bit underleveled at 1539 when we started. A friend managed to convince me it wouldn't make me a burden, so if you're in any similar situation, it is fine to do this a bit under light level. The first thing you're doing in here is jumping in the hole under the statue.
I'm not dead.
Next, you'll be ringing bells to progress through to the first encounter. Something that will remain the same for the rest of the run is, when you're ringing a bell in a red room, anyone not standing next to the bell dies instantly.
Hey, it works. You get me in the circle. My bad.
I'm gonna leave these few minutes of traversing the level in just in case. Feel free to skip to the next chapter. Before we get into this encounter, I want to note a couple things that are going to be the same for every encounter. The first is that in the main room, there's always going to be more than one bell you can ring. Only the two bell keepers that are with that bell need to go down for that bell to be used. When you cross into the red room, there's going to be one bell, and all bell keepers need to go down in the red room before you can ring the bell. On this first encounter, there's only 2 bell keepers in the red room. In the main room, there's a bell on each end of the room. On both sides of each bell, there's a symbol on the ground. When you ring the bell and go into red, the layout of the map is going to be the same, but only one bell will be up. The bell keepers will always spawn on the opposite side of the room from the bell. Additionally, the side rooms are now accessible, and your objective is to find the 2 rooms that have scions in them. Scions always come with warhounds, so your indication that there's a scion in the room is the dogs. When you defeat a scion, they drop a standard essence with a symbol that corresponds with a symbol that was on the ground in the main room. I'd highly recommend positioning people at both ends of the room before you ring the bell and go into red, as you'll want to grab both essences in one trip. If mistakes are made and that's not what happens, don't worry, it's not necessary to get both of them in one trip. I also recommend, and this goes for every encounter, that you leave the essence on the ground until you're sure you'll survive. If you die with it, it's gone and you have to make another trip. Which essence you grabbed will be displayed as a buff. Once you're back in the main room with the essences, depositing an essence at the corresponding symbol will open a door next to it. When you've opened both doors and cleared out the mobs, divide your group up between the 2 rooms before shooting the bell to go back to red. Being inside the rooms when you get transported will put you in a new area with numerous powerful Cabal enemies. All of these enemies on both sides of the map need to be defeated in order for the boss to become damageable. When going for boss damage, don't forget about the bell keepers and don't forget to head to the bell. If you think you've got it, feel free to skip to the next encounter, otherwise here's a full rotation in a duo. The bell keepers spawning here means 2 things. First, it's my job to kill them. Second, the bell is on the other side. But the dogs in this room make it a higher priority. The first essence that gets picked up extends your timer, by the way. Also, when this timer expires, you die. There are going to be moments where someone has to choose between killing their team and a full wipe. Be cautious when shooting towards an active bell. Just out here applying particle deconstruction like we still have it, don't mind me.
Welcome, punch!
In this room with the statues, full transparency, I don't know what the right way to do it is, because we found some premium queso first. In the red room, each statue has a button behind it you can interact with. Doing so turns the statue in the main room. If someone dies in the red room, it will put them in spectate in the main room and they can see the statue's turn. Turn them one at a time, and whoever died can relay instructions on when to stop turning them until all statues are pointing towards the center back in the main room. The bell will then disappear instead of taking you back. Jump off to make it back to the main room. The second encounter works much like the first, except this time there are tablets around the map with a symbol on the other side. When the fight starts, two symbols will appear in the center that indicate which tablets mark the paths you need to take once you ring the bell and go into red. At the end of each path will be a centurion that needs to go down to acquire each essence. It's ideal to communicate roles here. Two people pick a symbol, and we went with one person on dedicated bellkeeper duty since this is a lot more going on over a much larger area. It's good to guarantee that the bell will be usable right out the gate, and this encounter follows the same format of the bellkeepers always spawning opposite from the bell, and there's two of them. A couple things to keep in mind here. The bellkeepers do have a stomp, and if you try to occupy the same space as a bell when you change rooms, it'll kill you. Once you've acquired the essences from the Centurions and return to the main room, depositing the essences will make the boss damageable. Once you've killed the boss, congrats. Now do it 2 more times. There is a secret chest in this next room among all this purple stuff.
Okay, bye.
Make your way to the red entrance in this section. My man got Goomba stomped on this. So, the final encounter. There's a lot going on here. Here's a general overview of the flow of the fight for reference. As you're taking out the Bellkeepers, look off to the side and take note of the symbols that have appeared when the fight started. Sometimes they're both on the same side, sometimes not. There's a platform in every corner of the room with a symbol over it. Go to the platforms with matching symbols. The position of the symbols over the platforms does not change. If you take out a Scion on a platform that didn't have a matching symbol, you lose a sizable chunk of your timer. Again, leaving the essence on the ground until survival is almost guaranteed, do what you can with the Bellkeepers. When the Bellkeepers are down, pick up the essence and head to the bell to leave red. Now deposit the essences of the matching symbols. Prioritize survival as dying with an essence means another trip in. Suppression grenades help a lot. Repeat step 1 through 7 to deposit 4 essences total. Once you've done so, the chains will glow red. Clear ads for an ammo run? Then break a chain and ring the bell immediately afterwards. Ringing the bell transports you to red well ahead of when the boss comes in, giving you lots of extra time to deal with all the Bellkeepers. This last part all happens very quickly. Some side notes, I spent most of my time during the first stun making sure the third stun went well, since the boss isn't taking full damage until the third bell. And you can slow the boss down by forcing a stomp. Try to stay a step ahead of this boss at all times. It's just as important to be on the bell when it rings as it is to ring it. Both need to happen for you to do any damage to the boss. Good luck in there, don't forget to leave a like if this helped you out, and subscribe for more Destiny content.